Hello, hello, and welcome to another revolutionary conversation. I'm excited to join yet again with my friend, mentor, and beautiful soul sister, Janel Willette. Janelle, so good to have you here, and excited to jump in today on something that Janelle and I have been living our entire lives, realities, but actually stepping into the power of what it is to bring novelty into our lives, what the power of novelty as a pattern disruptor, and how innovation and our future depends on novelty. So please, Janelle, let's jump in.
Yes, a novelty. It's such an adventure, a catalyst of adventure. When we can be open to novelty, it's as if we loosen the reins of our own mind, agenda, and routines. Imagine just starting your day and having the intention that you're going to inject some novelty, some nuance, or some left turn that you would never make before. Let there be even an intention of undiscovered discovery unfold. Just that intention, that openness, can open the spheres of our neurosensory apparatus and our communication with the universe. Right? Because so often we get into our routines and the things that got to be done for the day, and we sort of have a focus on getting things done. Of course, we're aware of the flowers and the light of the day, but there's so much more that's available to us. And a lot of times for our minds to have um, these powerful nuggets of um, elixir, inspiration, sparks of new energy, new ideas, new possibilities. We need a disruption of novelty. And novelty is one of those things that really holds our attention and our curiosity leads us into letting it live us as well as letting ourselves be fully present in the midst of it.
Mm.
Right? And so, to give you an idea of what novelty can look like, because it's one of those simple things that doesn't really require more time or changing your life. It's more about this thing about how we live our life. There's the lifestyle that you have, and then there's, whoa, the style by which you live. Right? And so here I am. It's in the middle of the afternoon, and it looks like there's going to be a storm coming. And I finish my day maybe 4 or 5 o'clock, and I've got a couple hours before sunset. And the clouds are rolling in, and wow, the weather's changing. I can feel the pressure. And I say to myself, well, should I go to the gym? Should I take a walk? Should I go on my bike? And I listen, and I don't have an agenda, but I'm just going, I want to be out in nature. And all of a sudden, I feel this impetus to go up to the mountain, which would take me 2 hours. And yet I'm going to, in my mind, I'm like, well, it could rain, it could storm, it could hail, it could this. And yet there's this internal yearning for adventure because I realize when I'm not thinking, I'm craving novelty because novelty brings us into this omnipresence with the universe, ourselves, and the great possibilities of anything can happen. We don't know, right? So it's not a dangerous place, but it's this feeling of uncharted water. And we can get that anywhere in our environment. So one of my favorite aspects of novelty is taking this hike up to it's called Garapata Rocky Ridge. And there are about 4 microclimates that you can walk into and through in this circle that goes into the canyons up a rocky ridge, and it's a couple thousand feet high. So there's a whole different weather dynamic up there. I've been up there, it's been snowing, it's been hailing, the wind's been blowing so much that I can hardly stand on my feet. And so it's like I give myself to the universe and to the elements, and I don't know what's going to happen. So I come prepared. And so those moments are life-changing and huge catalysts for my whole being. My mind, my body, my heart, and my soul have been recalibrated. But that which includes the elements and the play of a greater sphere of the field of who I am and who the world is, and that interconnectedness.
Mm.
So it's a part of the routines and part of our life. But these choice moments to do something a little different can shake up and bring great zaz and zest to our life, to our mind, to the way we think and see.
Well, and when I think of even just listening to you say that, the number of people, myself included at different times, how we try to control our environment, how we try to make sure that novel experiences don't happen without us, intentionally trying to do that. It's like we plan our day. We don't go for walks on days where it's crummy, right? We decide that we're not going to play ultimate frisbee outside because the conditions are more challenging and it's easier to play indoors when there's less challenging conditions. This is a conversation I had with a friend in a tournament the other day. Um, we try to control all the pieces that we can so that we can feel like we have more control over our world, so we can limit the amount of variables. In reality, from what you're saying, and from my experience as well, that my beach walk every morning is
Yeah.
completely different. Some days I've got my like ski goggles on and it feels like icicles are like jamming into my pores, right?
Mm-hmm.
Other days there's like no wind and it's gorgeous, and the all of the different variables are there every day. And even just this morning, I was scraping off the car and I was enamored by this one snowflake. It's probably like -10 out this morning. And there was one snowflake, and I was like, wow, look at that snowflake. And from a faraway distance, it's just like a little speck of white. But close up, it just pulled me to it. Close up, I recognized the snowflake is not just like two-dimensional, but it also had a snowflake that came out the other end of it. And I was like, wow, when was the last time I looked at a snowflake to see that its beautiful geometric pattern also reflects itself in the exact opposite perpendicular like spectrum. I was like, wow. And I swear I was probably there for about a minute, just like staring down the snowflake until my breath probably melted it. but that degree of like, then when I stepped into my car, my brain was already thinking in a completely different way because I was thinking about the dimensionality of snowflakes. And it was just like brought me to an entirely different space. So just like you were saying, you don't have to go on a mountain walk and have an extremely different climate, temperature, experience. It could be just the mere act of looking at something that you've seen over and over again millions of times,
Mm-hmm.
it closer up or farther away, and just giving yourself the opportunity to just be with it and let it change you.
Right. Right. And I think the thing that we're really beckoning you to look at is the style by which you live. Because a lot of times when we feel like we're getting stagnant or our routine is sort of becoming, um, unexciting and there's no passion and creativity because we need that. That's like our life force energy. And a lot of times people look for it in external things. And a lot of times it can be as simple as just having the courage to go do something different to break your routine. To like go to a pottery class, go to a salsa class, go go do go to the beach and create art in the sand. Go dance in nature, doing things or listening to music that you haven't listened to in a long, long time that can shake up things in a different way. Because our being thrives on the catalyst of newness and sparks of energy that bring an effect to our mind as well as our body, our all of our systems to awaken and to act as a catalyst that activates more life, more attention.
Mm-hmm. And that too, just the thought of the fact that we've got these super high of communication, our neuro pathways that are constantly, treading down the same path. But if we diversify, if we create more potentials, and I think they said something like that about Einstein's brain. It wasn't actually bigger than any other brain. It was the fact that it had more neuroglia, it had more channels, more connectors. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the point, is that we are the only ones who can choose to have those connections. We get to choose throughout our life to initiate these new opportunities to look at things, to perceive things, to engage with things differently. Even just yesterday, I was walking along a path to the mailbox, because we can go through a path to the mailbox, or we can go and take the
Yeah.
sidewalk. Usually choose the country path, the ATV trail. And I ran into somebody there, which I very rarely run into people on this trail. And he said, well, since I was a kid, I don't remember there being garbage on this trail, but as an adult, I'm picking up garbage all the time here. And I said, well, what do you think that is? Do you think it is that you're actually seeing it, or that you care? He said, no, I think that it was the fact that I was going really fast. I was either on my bike, or I was on my ATV, or I was going fast. He said, but now as I'm walking, I go slow and I see all the garbage.
Yeah.
It's the same as what we're talking about, this disruptive pattern. By slowing yourself down or speeding yourself up, but not doing what you're used to doing, you'll notice things differently. The slower you go, the more you end up seeing. And it's actually more powerful than going really fast. We're used to going really fast. But the more we can slow down, the more we have the novelty of being present in the moment. Maybe you smell something you wouldn't have otherwise smelled. Maybe you see something. Maybe it trips something that you wouldn't otherwise have remembered, just by slowing everything down.
Right. And with the curiosity as well, opening to curiosity and just even by hearing us speak this, it can sort of give you a little switch to go, oh, huh, right. A lot of times when I'm going somewhere, I'll go, I wonder what route I should take. And I just sort of go, all right, should I take the country road or should I take this road? And, sometimes I take the country road because I'm just in the mood of being with nature in a different way, just as you said. So just that mere fact that I'm not on automatic pilot lends itself to being in relationship with the world around me. It opens me to want to notice, want to see things and experience something different and new, right? Because even though you walk the same path even every day, if you're getting from here to there, there is that saying of like, you never step into the same river twice. Because if you're really present, one moment is never like any other, nor is life and what's there, because you're different, and so is this day. The light that shines on the leaves, or the reflection of snow or ice, it
Mm.
opens us. So relationship, being in that awareness of how am I in relationship to the world around me, and the phenomena of that which I have no idea how everything orchestrates itself, which can lend itself to an awe and a wonder.
Mm. And in that reminder that it's not our mind or our body trying to sabotage us to keep us in autopilot. Autopilot's actually a it's actually a natural way for our body to save energy, to be energy efficient, right? But it's not the way to live our lives. Like you said, it's not the way to diversify and be innovative and be in relationship with one another and actually create. That's not what autopilot is about. And I feel like as a society, we've leaned into autopilot so much and survival mode so much and saving energy and being efficient so much that we've really pigeonholed ourselves and created a funnel vision
Mm-hmm,
that is
mm-hmm.
not allowed for all that we humans have the capacity for. And, as Janelle and I talk about this in the past, and as we talked with you about it right now, like the power of novelty to be able to truly revolutionize our world and not, our own inner world first, not we have to change the world with this. It's like you can change your world with this just by enacting one or two things into your day to pull yourself out of autopilot, to make yourself notice something different. In my experience, kids are phenomenal at this. Even if
Yeah.
a parent with kids and your kids will say, "But what is that, mom? What is that, mom?" Or "Why does that happen?" And you go, "Oh, wow, how do I describe that?" Or "I don't even know." Or "What are they even looking at?" And like they just pull you into so many different ways and perspectives. There's something, I feel like that's how the human race grows and evolves, is because these amazing young minds are constantly pulled into novelty. That's how they're learning endlessly.
Yeah. And it's such a great reminder of how we get conditioned. And in our conditioning that we naturally sort of get into, we become deconditioned, denaturalized into our own essential, unique, natural self, right? So even being aware that in a way we become a little hypnotized to our own routine, our own style of living. I do this, and that, oh, I can't even have time to think about that. It's like, if you don't have time, you're probably the person that needs that time more than anybody else, right? It's really important. And I always say that nature nurtures my natural nature. Getting out in nature, just getting out in nature nurtures your natural nature, because you don't want to let that go. But think about it just really simply, because the truth is so simple. So, people who are really busy, you've had dinner, go walk under the stars for 10 minutes. Before you go to bed, step out and look at the sky, right? Those are just things that are novel, that you see and experience, are in relationship with aspects of the world and the grandness that we cut ourselves off of just by staying in our own routine. And a lot of times, these novel experiences, when you get out of your own, stenciled version of yourself, our catalysts can lead you on a way, on a trajectory that you never thought would happen. There were several times. One time, someone asked me if I wanted to go sailing. And I thought, wow, I've never been sailing. Okay, gee, yeah, yeah. And it worked out. And so I said, you know what? That is a trade-off. I'll go sailing instead of my training routine that I would go do as a competitive athlete. And it turned out I had an experience sitting on a sailboat and realizing that when I was present, I could feel the wind and the energy, and I knew how to sail. Because I didn't think about it. I wasn't guided and uninstructed. I just was sat there and I felt everything. I was in total relationship. And it turns out that this wonderful gentleman, Bob Hallandale, loved my natural nature, and it seemed to be innocence, because I had no agenda. I didn't know what I was doing, and I was just open. And so Bob Hallandale asked me if I wanted to crew with him. And we raced on Sunday mornings after I would race and be triathlete girl. So I got this yang aspect of myself, which I was really only nurturing at that time and putting attention into training and racing and all of that. But then as soon as I finished the race, I was feeling, oh, how beautiful it is to go and sail and have this yin experience where I was just sitting there feeling and experiencing and guiding and being with all the elements. And it's then that I realized how essential the yin experience of being in nature and being lived, meaning there was a quality of nature that was guiding me to be supporting the boat and the winds and the movement.
As you say that, Janelle, the correlation between those two
Yeah.
is that like our autopilot and just doing and just like laying on and being in the rails and staying in our lane and doing exactly what we're used to doing, that it has its part, but that's just a half of it, just the half of it. That this novelty, this open up, this yin,
Wait.
being and feeling and embracing and letting life live through us, that's the whole other half that we don't put a lot of effort into unless we choose to, unless we actually engage and embrace that part, unless we become the 5-year-old that like looks at things with such awe and curiosity that they're open to seeing whatever shows up instead of thinking it has to be a certain way.
Right. And that's why I have learned through that. That was one of the catalysts to learn that my sailing experience enhanced my racing experience. It's really how I learned about the flow, because I was so good at efforting and being a warrior, but I didn't have the capacity to yet let the yin quality of my being be utilized in my yang, in the racing. And in learning and having that novel experience, I was like, what if I combine both of these? So what if I bring the yin into the yang of the racing experience? And what if I bring the one-pointedness and the attention and the focus and the awareness into the sailing experience?
And what happened?
And I learned that how not to have an agenda, but just an intention. But there was this synergistic effect that affected my whole world. I mean, I remember this time when I was in Connecticut and I went to do this duathlon in Orange, Connecticut, and I won the race. And I was so happy for like a moment, but then I could feel this energy of now I get to go sailing. And so I told my coach, I go, hey, will you grab my trophy? I got to go sailing. And he was heartbroken that I wasn't going to be on the podium getting my trophy because he coached me. But I was like, I was so pulled by the moment and that ecstasy of now I'm going to go sailing. And I thought those are those sweet moments when you are free of your own ego. I was just so fully, that was a time I was so fully alive into myself. And it wasn't about getting something, it was about the things in my life that brought me wildly alive and brought me to a greater potentiality of my own self that I wouldn't have been able to embark on if I wouldn't have been open.
Mm.
And so, in this way, life can teach us these lessons when we're ready. And it was just one moment. I said, yeah, why not? And so my trade-off was sacrificing my old routine. I could feel the resistance, but I said, what the heck? But it led to something so great. And I look back and there were so many moments when I let go of my agenda and what I think I need to do. And a new trajectory in my life opens. And that new trajectory, that new way of seeing and feeling and having experience with the world and seeing a different potentiality come alive in me, I bring that to everything in my life, whether I'm a spouse or whether I'm a parent or whether I'm CEO of a company or whether I have other duties in my life. And so that's what we're talking about, that one thing that can change everything, that spark new life into your life.
Mm. And that feels like the perfect time for the invitation for everybody listening and watching here today. There will be something in your life that starts to come to the forefront where you realize there's an invitation to step out of your autopilot, right? There was something just on the periphery, maybe something that's so far off that you'd never even imagine yourself capable of it, or that it's a possibility, or maybe it's just on the edge, something just a little bit uncomfortable to think about, even if that's just slowing down a little bit. And so just offering yourself to that potential, just even the intention of it. What if? What if? Just starting with the what if. And that opportunity to slow down, to be with it, to be curious, and to step into that opportunity that life is giving you. And how does it look different? How does it feel different? How do you see yourself differently? Whatever wants to come to the forefront, just giving yourself that opportunity, because now you'll be aware of it. After listening to this conversation, you'll be aware, oh, that's not my usual. Oh, wait a second. Okay, if that's not my usual, what if I just entertain the potential of it? What happens then?
Mm-hmm. Getting out of our own way. We don't even know that we're in our own way until you do, until you've had an experience that you couldn't experience without shaking things up a little bit. And only you can do that. And now, if you have it in your mind, you put the universe on notice to knock on your door, to send you a whisper, to take a different turn. You know, I know so many people who have elaborate and beautiful gardens, or even gardens around their community, and they drive by and they love them. But how many people have spent time in the garden, with the garden, sitting there and listening and feeling and sensing.
That's the goal.
Nature.
That's what you're being invited into. Your own nature, the nature outside. It's all one and the same.
It's really an opportunity to weave a greater interconnectedness. Because as you interconnect and weave a different spectrum of the world around you in some way, it does that same thing inside of you. It expands. It helps you discover something about yourself. So bring that inner genius, bring that awe and wonder, bring that innovation alive. And amaze yourself. Dare to amaze yourself.
And there it is. That sounds like the perfect place to stop.
Yeah.
Where everything starts. So thank you so much, Janel, for joining in this revolutionary conversation. If you love this is a good time to mention, if you love this and this sort of talk just like sparks you on the inside like it does us, we host a revolutionary experience. It's called the Golden Genius Mastermind. Happens every 2 weeks on Wednesday nights or Wednesday afternoons. For some, depending on where you live, might be Thursday. But every 2 weeks we gather together, many of us who just love to stoke the fires of our own inner genius. And as a community, we have great conversations and discussions about how we can weave our gold together. And it's a marvelous conversation. If you're interested in being a part of it, please just reach out to us and Golden Genius Mastermind at gmail.com. And it really is a great opportunity to be able to put all of these subjects from our revolutionary conversations into action, but in a way that we're doing it and co-creating it together. So if that speaks to you, we'd love to have you there. And we'd love to hear about your experience of this experience of how you've woven novelty into your world, how slowing down and noticing something differently changed everything for you. However you'd like to share it with us, we'd love to hear about it. And please don't hesitate to reach out to us with any questions or any feedback. We'd love to hear from you. Anything else you'd like to know?
Thanks for joining us and showing up and challenging yourself to become and keep becoming your best self without knowing how that might look.
It takes courage, and we honor you for that. Looking forward to seeing you for our next revolutionary conversation. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Janel.
Thank you. Be well.
Bye.